Hi everyone who's just joining the stage. For those of you that's your first time, this is our main venue for events. This is also our experimentation ground for design. Sunken Blimp is a studio based in Miami where we create virtual worlds for augmented reality and virtual reality. And the Sunken Blimp Stage is our community effort where we gather each week and we invite a guest speaker to share with us from the stage on different topics related to design and technology. So we'll be going live in just a minute. But right now, I can start by introducing our guest speaker. Okay, so I just received a message from someone that's having some issues logging in. Um, so let's give them 1 or 2 minutes until they join, and we'll start right away. If you have any questions, just ask. This is an open space. If you have any projects, any ideas, any crazy things you're working on, you're free to write to us, to reach out to us, and we'll arrange an event for you to share your ideas and projects with the community and with people that want to join and listen to what you have to show and say. So Javier, if everything's ready, we'll get started with the event and let people join in while we use the event or while we start. Okay. Um, so welcome to Dive Live again, and welcome to the Sunken Blimp Stage. As already mentioned, this is our main place for knowledge sharing with guests, experts, and creators. Each week, a different expert. We have had experts in architecture, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, bio design, and lot a lot more topics. Actually, this is a big open ground for experimentation and sharing knowledge. So today we have as a guest speaker Javier Velásquez. Javier is a game designer, co-founder, and senior game designer at Azahar Juegos, specializing in publishing design and board games, and also a co-founder and senior gamification consultant of free-to-play, focused on gamified platforms, design, and consulting. He has worked in the diverse gamification projects for companies in different sectors and also worked on educational and learning projects. Javier is also a
I stopped hearing you. Can you hear me?
hello, hello. Can you hear me well
Hello.
again?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Where was I? But was telling you, Javier, that it would be great if you could also tell us a little bit about the basics of gamification. What is all of this about? And look at the stage; it looks amazing. We have a giant Gundam robot in front of us and a lot of intriguing locks. I wonder where the keys are. So yeah, with no further ado, Javier, the stage is yours, and welcome to Dive Live and the Sunken Blimp Stage.
Amazing. Thank you, Camilo. How are you? How is everybody? So a quick thing, a quick little thing, yeah. So I love being here because these kinds of 3D environments are the kind of environments where we gamers thrive. Of course, there's some kind of an uncanny valley to these kinds of experiences, as you will see. Maybe I'm just looking backwards and I will keep talking and you will hear me the same, and it brings a little bit of a different thing to the experience. It's hard for many people to use these kinds of experience because they will try just to talk from the stage. So here I am, I'm in the stage, so I can wave a little bit here. So hello everybody, all right? So you can wave as well. So you just have to click on the panel of reactions, and you can check all those reactions. I would love if you give me a reaction, because this gamified experience is about understanding feedback, and if you don't give me feedback, it won't make a difference. So yeah, perfect. So if you find the button for the reactions, it's down there besides the unmute button, I think. And there you can just wave a little bit or just give some love. So it would be amazing if you could find those buttons. So in this kind of experiences, as a game designer, I like to understand these 3D spaces as a little bit of a playground. Of course, I don't have any presentation. If I move a little bit, you will see me moving around the space, and that's because as gamers, we don't like to have a 3D environment and just stay still. And it will be important that you know that I am here again. I will wave again because I will be moving through the space, and you will have to follow me around through part of the experience. The idea behind this experience is that you will try to unlock those padlocks. You will not try to. It will be really easy. But one of the things I really like about gamification and game designers is that we don't care about having content designed that you will not consume. That's because in game design, most of the time you will start creating things like, for example, you have here 6 padlocks. And all these padlocks, if I'm being honest, I don't think I will have enough time to let you explore all the 6 padlocks, plus the 3 main padlocks that you will see from here, and they're like floating above the stage, those golden padlocks up there. And the idea behind that is I want to have more content than people will be able to consume, because that will give players choice, and choice is one of the main things around game design. If there's no choice, there is no game. So you will have to make some choices around the presentation, and the way we will unlock these padlocks will depend entirely on the things that you will do. Thank you. This is a gamer, the one that is trolling me around, and I love it. That's how you know that's someone that enjoys these kinds of spaces, and that's nice. So perfect. And you can break a little bit the mold of a serious presentation by doing all these reactions. So how we're going to start is by, I will give you some instructions again, and we will see what happened. We will be playing around, and I will, as you do the stuff, I will try to explain the mechanics behind those things. So up there we have those 3 padlocks. I would love if I could point things. For example, I would say to the Sunken Blimp team that it would be nice if I could point something out, so I could redirect your camera and your attention towards something I want. In this case, I want you to see those 3 padlocks that are up there, and we're going to unlock those padlocks through a simple mechanic. So what I want you to do is the following. I want you to you're in your place, and what I want you to do is just do exactly that. I want you to agree with me, and agree with me by giving any kind of reaction. So just again, I asked you before that you just use a reaction. I want you to use a reaction, any reaction you want. So just choose one reaction, please. Everyone, choose a reaction. This is important. If you don't choose the reactions, the padlock won't unlock. Okay, so I have some reactions here. Perfect. So the idea behind this, what I'm doing here, I'm giving you an instruction, and that instruction should be met with some kind of reaction. So if you see the first padlock to the left in the upper part of the spectrum of the floating padlocks, I will replace that image with one here, one image, one GIF, one animated GIF, and you can see that there's this like lab experiment where things are reacting chemically. So what's that about? It's about reacting. The first thing that you need to understand is that when players are doing stuff and we're working on a virtual environment or a digital environment per se, one of the main things that people will be doing is not just acting but reacting. And reacting is about having certainty that if I say let's do something and I hope people will do it, and if I know that the outcome of the action will be predictable, we have a reaction. And that's how most of non-gamified systems work. You are trying to react to things that happen in your environment, or the digital medium is trying to react to things that you're doing in your environment. So if you have Microsoft Word and you want to check a spelling, you are hoping that you can have a predictable outcome and the system will react by giving you the correct spelling for something. Of course, this happens automatically now, but it's just to understand that we are so used to things reacting to us that we forget that reaction can be kind of boring. But this is important. If you see this first image, it reacted to what I wanted it to do. I asked it to become this image of this chemistry lab, and it worked. And it should be playing for you guys. If not, you can try to click it so you can play the animation. But the first thing you need to know is reaction is important for playthrough. It's important for playthrough, but it's not what makes something really interesting in terms of the psychology of the players. And if I'm trying to bring games to the real world, I need to understand how to go beyond reactions. So to do that, let's go to a second, let's make a second exercise. So I want you to move around and you will see 4 little figures in the stage. So if you follow me around, you will see here's Deadpool. Deadpool is kind of dark humor, a kind of character that's really it's really dark. If you have seen Deadpool, its movies, you will see it's really dark. Then you will have the Mask. The Mask is this comic character that is this kind of party-like character. It's a funny movie, and the character is made out of the lack of shame. He doesn't feel any shame, so here is the Mask. If you go to the other part of the stage, you will find that here we have the Human Torch. The Human Torch is a fiery character. It's impulsive. He do things first and then thinks about them. So here's this fiery character. And then we have Kratos. Kratos is a video game character that is a grumpy man. It's he hates the world, but he hates it because it's been a hard world. Everything that happens to him is it's unjust and that kind of things, and he has become a warrior to tackle those hard experiences. So what I want you to do is right now I want you to move your characters towards one of those 4 avatars. What will be the criteria? Try to think which one relates more to you. I want to know, I relate more with the party style of avatar, that's the Mask, or I love this dark humor and I'm more like Deadpool. I'm impulsive like the Human Torch, a Fantastic Four, or am I a warrior and stoic like Kratos? So move around. So I have 2 characters here around the Mask. Okay, so yeah, perfect. You're moving around. The thing is, with this kind of experience, what are we hoping for? What am I hoping for? If you move your characters and I see, okay, there are 2 characters around the Mask and 1 character moved towards Kratos, you're giving me information. But this kind of information is not reactive. You're not reacting. You are following. You're following my cues, but you are doing your own stuff. I cannot predict. I don't have perfect certainty of what you will do. I only have a range of certainty. I'm giving you the choice. And in that sense, if you see the padlocks up there, the golden padlocks again, there's a padlock that I will open right now, and it's about interactivity. So here in the animation, I placed something that's really popular right now. It's ChatGPT, of course. It's in artificial intelligence. And I placed ChatGPT because one of the main things why ChatGPT has become so popular is because it doesn't just react to you. It's not a chatbot. A chatbot reacts, follows a clear algorithm with clear responses and predictable outcomes. But ChatGPT is interesting for people because when you try to find, if you are able to zoom in a little bit towards what's happening in the screen, I know it's up there, but I will tell you a bit about it. It just gave ChatGPT the prompt to write a story in a like a fairy tale manner, and ChatGPT is delivering by creating something that is quite unexpected. And many people are using ChatGPT, and it became really popular not because it was a useful tool, but first because it was a really interesting game. People were interacting with ChatGPT, trying to figure out how it worked, and people are still trying to find out how ChatGPT works, and there's a lot of YouTube videos trying to explain all that kind of stuff because ChatGPT is unpredictable, and unpredictable things become interesting things. They become funny. So again, if I come here and I just do, I don't know, get down and I start dancing here in the center of the stage, being the speaker, this breaks a little bit the expectations. And that kind of breaking of expectations can only be achieved when you have an interactive medium. A chat with other people is interactive. Conversations are interactive. And games are interactive by nature. When you play chess with an opponent, what you're getting is interactive feedback. And here, that word comes into play. What we're receiving is feedback. So reactive feedback or interactive feedback are both kinds of feedback, but games are about interaction, not about reaction per se. I want people to make choices, and I want to be able to gather data from those reactions. And that brings me to the third padlock, which I will unlock right now. And it's the third kind of feedback. So let me just open this here. So let's play here interactive data tracking. So data tracking, it's another kind of feedback where you're not doing anything to make the feedback work, to make the things that happen on the screen happen. So what you're seeing there in the screen is actually a soccer game analyzed by an algorithm where it shows the movement of soccer players playing around in the space, how the ball moves and how people work around trying to stop the ball from getting to the goal line, and other players trying to figure out how to create spaces and opportunities. And it's really interesting how you can see how those spaces of opportunities happen in real time. But this kind of information, you're not doing anything that creates that information. That information is being pushed. So if you click on the magnifying glass, on that particular screen, there's a magnifying. If you click it, there's a magnifying glass on the top right corner. You will see that actually it says pushed feedback. Push feedback is when you don't have any control over the feedback, but you get notifications, and that's really important in game design. Notifications are wildly misused in the digital world, and we know that because many people actually say that people will be happier if you turn off your notifications in your phones, and that's true because that's information you're not asking for, but information that can make you enter rabbit holes where then you cannot disengage with information you shouldn't be watching. But actually, if you think about games, in games everything is about getting interactive information, getting interactive feedback, where the feedback depends on the player actions. You have choice and agency, and also push notifications, not the push notifications of your smartphones, but push notifications in the sense of the things that happen when, for example, you are under attack in a video game, and there's an alarm, and it says, hey, something is happening. So if I just click here, and you hear that sound was pushed. I created some feedback that I'm pushing to grab your attention. So I can do things like, okay, I'm moving through the stage. In these kinds of stages, again, people trying, if you're watching me, I don't know, this is kind of uncanny because maybe you just move the camera along, you're not moving the actual avatar to watch me do things. And this is weird. This is weird feedback, and it creates a weird experience that only players tend to be more accustomed to. So it's interesting to understand how those uncanny valleys work. But it's interesting that I can grab your attention by doing push feedback. So again, I do this, and you will see me doing stuff. And that this, if you are within the application, if you just didn't open the application and then you're working another thing while you're just hearing the discourse, you will be watching me do this, and I will be recapturing your attention. So push notifications are about attention management, for example. And we have all these three kinds of feedbacks. And of course, any project that you do will have reactive feedback, because every project that you actually engage with, you need some rule sets for products to work, how people will expect them to work. But think about a microwave and a gamified microwave. And if I think about a microwave, a regular microwave is all about just reactive feedback, the one that it's over me right now. It's about reactive feedback. And if I want to gamify a microwave, I need to go towards the left side of the spectrum. I need to go towards the interactive part. I need to be able to make the microwave interact with me, make decisions, and give me feedback for those decisions. Right now, if I press in my microwave the popcorn button, the microwave wave will just react. It will make a sound, and I will see a countdown. And when the countdown ends, I will hear a beep, toot, 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 and now I know my popcorn is ready. But that's not gamey. If I would like it to be gamey, I could create a smiley face and a screen with a face, and create some social feedback that says, okay, I'm getting hot, and maybe there's fire coming out of me. And if you click on a button, you will cool me down, and I will become a happy wave. And there we have some interactivity that was not there before. It's more playful than gameful, but still it becomes a little bit more ludic. So again, and this again is a little bit uncanny, because my avatar is not doing all the motions that I'm doing with my hands here in real life. In real life, I'm gesturing and all these things, and in my avatar is not doing those things. So I need to understand how to gamify my environments by, again, just dancing and trying to move my avatar around so you can see what I'm trying to convey, the information I want to convey. But right now, again, I'm pushing information. So now I want to make this a little bit more interactive. So we have all these three big kinds of feedback that you can apply in all your projects. But now here is where things become really interesting. And if you see, there are 6 padlocks, and these padlocks have some texts on it. If you go towards a padlock and you click on the padlock and again on the magnifying glass, I will make a quick overview of what we will find here. So the first padlock says productive feedback, for example, the one that I'm standing, that's just beside me, is productive feedback. The next padlock is about exploration feedback. Remember, you can click, and there, if you click on those links, you will find some bits of storytelling I created for you guys. I will read one for you, but if you want to check them out, this is a virtual space where you need to be able to explore yourselves. So if you want to just be sitting down there, you're not enjoying the gamified experience, you're just hearing a regular workshop or regular Zoom meeting. This could be in Zoom. But if you come here, and for example, in the productive feedback, it has a little bit of a story. It says, the hacker moves his fingers with extreme agility. With every keystroke, a progress bar advances a few clicks, but with every second passed, it rolls back again. Security on the server is tight, but the back door must be opened before the countdown strikes 0. Just seconds to go. And all those little bits of the story are about that kind of feedback, that particular kind of feedback. It's about understanding that feedback, for example, can take this narrative form. It doesn't have to be a sound. It doesn't have to be an icon. It doesn't have to be an animation. It can be the written word. It can be, oh, something is going to happen, dun, 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 and you need to know what will happen if. And this is really important to create game experiences. Storytelling gives a lot of value to your designs. So just explore each one of them, because it's really important for me, because you have the productivity feedback padlock, the exploration feedback padlock here besides me. Here in this corner, you will see the social feedback padlock. We have spoken a little bit here about social feedback without uh, without having it without making it on a structured basis. And then we have a multi-sensorial feedback here in this padlock. Then you will have here, this one is the performance feedback, really important feedback used in games a lot. And here we have impactful feedback, feedback that has some kind of impact. So what I want you to do, again, I create more content that probably I will be able to deliver. So in the left, you will be part of the world of the jungle, of the raining jungle. You see the background there. And if you're part of the raining jungle, if you like the raining jungle, you can go there and select from one of the three ones to my left, to my avatar's left, of course. And to the right, you have the castle in ruins. If you want to be part of the castle in ruins, you will be in this part of the stage, and you will choose from one of these. You will choose by, again, standing right next to it and making some kind of reaction. If you don't make a reaction, I will not take that vote. I will not count it as a vote. So right now, I want you to go towards one of those padlocks and just decide, what do you want me to explain? Where do you want me to go deeper into the design process, try to understand some feedback elements. So just move around, go to one of them, and just give me some feedback. Okay. So remember the reactions. Perfect. There's one selection to the right. And let's see. I think, okay, there's one. Okay, so we have one padlock to the left, one padlock to the right. I wanted this mechanic. I wanted to divide people on jungle and castle because I wanted to make sure that we would explore one padlock, at least one padlock to the left and at least one padlock to the right. The mechanics, the rules you create will create incentives and will create outcomes, probable outcomes to your game design. So the way I create the rules creates a probable outcome. Here is I have one padlock in the left and one in the right. So here we have performance feedback, and I will open first this padlock, and then I will go towards the padlock to the right. So I will replace this one, reactive exploration. So in terms of performance, let's check this out first. So, and be close. If you want to see the animated GIF from close up, that would be the way to do it. It's a great GIF where you will see Peach, Peaches, right? And you will see this adorable Peach that got first place, got 80 stars and 23 coins. So this is the basic way you create performance feedback. And this is nothing new, but actually, if you think about how performance feedback is built around our school systems, it's the worst way possible for creating performance feedback. The grades, the way you grade students, doesn't give the kind of motivation required to make people want to build up a skill, because they're being graded, they're not being given information to improve their performance. Some teachers are really good at giving performance feedback, but many just give grades, and that's just not enough, especially if you're in an academic environment where you receive grades in the way of numbers, and you get averages. That's a way to get performance, because that performance punishes. So each game, and you can watch games just to try to find how they give performance feedbacks, and you will see these kind of things happening all the time. But this is the easy one. This is something that you can create in every gamification project. Just give some stats that people will get for doing the stuff in your game, and you will get some kind of numeric stats that will try to translate into your performance. But let's check another way of exploring performance feedback. So I will go here, I will replace it, and I will use this second animated GIF. And now we have Rayman. Rayman is a platformer game like Crash Bandicoot or like Mario Brothers and all that kind of games, where you will see there are no numbers there. There's not one number. That's not performance feedback in terms of, hey, you got 3 stars or that kind of thing. What you get here is you get a kind of rhythm. You know that you're doing things well because there's an optimal form, an optimal way of doing things in this level. And the game is made so you can actually watch people playing the game and you can know that the performance of a player is better than the performance of the other player because there's certain rhythm to the movements of the character. And players actually engage a lot in these kinds of games, in these kinds of performance feedback. When you're playing Mario, you're not playing Mario thinking, oh, I got 3 stars at the end of the level. The original Mario didn't give you any of that. You felt performance feedback because you were able to see how you jumped over the enemies and you made combos and you honed your skills, and with each try your movements in the game seemed a little bit better, seemed a little bit more fluid. And you can see that just from understanding how to create interfaces and how to convey the information of a skill building. So if you are into, for example, gamification for education, try to find ways of conveying performance that are not related to numbers, for example, that it can be seen just because I created some clicks and I saw how the story progressed in the best way possible, and I know that was because I made great decisions. And I didn't get any number, but I got an outcome that made me just want to dance again. So, woohoo! This is really, really interesting. And giving performance feedback in non-gamified environments can make a great deal of impact. If you think about it, think about, for example, an e-commerce that give you performance feedback for letting you know how good were you at thinking about your purchases, about making honest decisions, about checking the reviews of the products. All of that kind of stuff can become really, really, really interesting if you give the players performance feedback, so they want to come back and feel like what they're doing is great. And that kind of feedback is lost in many platforms where people think that there are no skills involved. And in most platforms, there are skills involved. In Microsoft Word, in Excel, in anything, even if using ChatGPT, there are skills involved, and understanding if I'm getting the most out of a system. For example, imagine how would you create a performance feedback element for ChatGPT so you can know if your prompts are doing what you want them to do. So that would be really interesting. On the second hand, we have exploration feedback. In terms of exploration feedback, we will find another kinds of feedback elements that are used. And here I will start by showing you the basics. The basics are, this is a map, an interactive map, a game map. And in game maps, you will see a lot of things that are really cool. The first thing about an interactive map is that it gives you waypoints. It gives you where can I go and explore. It gives you choice on your exploration. And actually, if you think about any web page, every web page can become an exploration system, and that's why Wikipedia, for example, has been played as an exploration game. It's because hyperlinks create that kind of sense of exploration where you know where you can go. But this kind of feedback gives you another thing. It tracks you the way you have moved along the map. And that gives you, when you're exploring, one of the things people like to do is being able to remember how their exploration went, and giving them a journal of some sorts, a video journal, a map, a diary. If you play The Last of Us, for example, you get a diary where Ellie, the main character, will start writing things on that journal. And what would be a journal in a gamified sense? Because if I think of an e-commerce again, I will know what I have bought. The history of my purchases are part of that journal. But that doesn't tell me the things that I want to really know about my journal. I don't want to know what I bought. I want to know what decisions I made, what things I found. That there can be more emotional aspects to the feedback, and the emotion around the feedback is really important to create great gamified experiences. But again, I will show you a second exploration, because of course cartography is really embedded into exploration, of course. But if you want to think about exploration can become even more subtle in terms of how you navigate a game world. So here you will see, for example, this comes from a game that's called The Sleeper Citizen. It's a game that has like board game-like mechanics built into a video game, and you place dice to make actions and all that kind of stuff. And it has a kind of interactive map that works like an open world. And the interesting thing is the whole thing about the way the map is created is that you will have, for example, the zoom ins. And in terms of the interfaces you create, a zoom in, so I'm making a zoom in, and now I can do some actions. Those kind of interfaces are really are really great to tap into our exploration desire. It's better than hyperlinks because hyperlinks takes you away from where you were exploring and takes you to another place. And that's why people love to have many tabs open in their in Chrome or Safari or any browser that you use. It's because you feel like you're losing the path. And in these games, you're not losing the path. The interface is making you feel like you're part in a way where you are is part of that journey, and you can just cancel and it will zoom out. And those kind of things create a sense of exploration that creates a really different feeling from what you will normally find in the digital, more serious world. So those kind of feedbacks are two different kinds of feedbacks. You can see that there are different kinds of elements. For example, progress bars, unlockables. If you think about it, all these padlocks are about exploration feedback. The idea that these padlocks change into something else that creates the desire for exploration, or that would be the purpose. So right now, I think I can do a couple more before opening the floor for questions. So I want you to choose another two padlocks so we can see which other feedback elements can we analyze a little bit from games. And all of these can be can be brought into the real world. We can bring this up and use it in more serious contexts, just toning it down to the correct level of interface design. So sure, if all my classes could be could have, if I'm a student, all my classes could have this kind of interfaces, it would be awesome. But of course, the media world, the movies and games, and they have big budgets and can do amazing things, and they do it like that because we know, those of us who work in the media industry know, that kind of things create emotion, attention, and motivation. And it's worth every penny you spend on these kinds of things if you have the money to spend it on them. So experience is really important. And this goes, it also goes against the idea of agile design, where you need to fail fast and do cheap things to test if things are going to work. In games, you cannot do that because many games work because of that improved experience. And without that improved experience, many players would not play the game. So now, let me see. Have you selected another padlock? Give me a reaction. Again, give me a reaction if you want to select a padlock. Okay, here I have one. Perfect. I have two. Let's see what we have here. So the first one of them is about multisensorial feedback. I love this one. It's not something people talk a lot about when talking about feedback, and it's really important in game design. We need it all the time. In the real world, we should use it more, and we don't use it enough sometimes. So in terms of multisensorial feedback, I will start with, no, this one wasn't the one I wanted to show you. This is social feedback, and this is, I revealed something that I shouldn't. So imagine I didn't show it to you, so I didn't. So okay, this is not sensorial, and that's perfect. Here it is. So here we are. This is the kind of feedback that requires multisensorial feedback. Multisensorial feedback usually means sight and hearing, because those are the main senses that we can engage with the digital world. Especially the digital world is all about sight and hearing. But the thing is not about understanding that this should have, for example, sound. I could play sound into this so you could hear it. You cannot, because this is an animated GIF, not a video. But you can imagine how this game would sound like. A lot of shooting, a lot of notifications, hardcover ready, doing, and they're attacking you to the right, and you hear the and there's a lot of things happening here. And of course, for older brains, this can become overwhelming, because as we become older, we like our feedback to become more. We want to be able to check every feedback channel in its own right, and we don't like them to mix that much. But when you're young, actually, you like this other kind of environment where everything is chaotic. So if you see here, of course, you have some feedback that will tell you you're shooting, another feedback that will tell you, okay, there's a hardcover ready, and all this happens both in the visual aspect of the game and on the auditory channel of the game. And this is why games rely so much in sound, because maybe when you have visual cues, it's hard to follow them all, and when you have sounds, your brain can follow more signals at the same time, because you have this discriminatory power where you can understand with different sounds which sound relates to what. So if you play Mario Bros and you have dan 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 dan, at the same time you have trun trun trun, and at the same time twang twang, and enemies jumping around, and you have all these sensorial cues, you can know what each one of them means, because each of them has one particular meaning. So you can have them all mixed up and you can make it work. This is, of course, ideal when you want players to feel a rush of excitement, but when you want them to think clearly about the stuff, this can be a little bit too much. But let's check a second example again. Let's check this second example around sensorial feedback, multisensory. No, this one, golden padlock. Here it is. Yes. So check this out. So this is Guitar Hero, and in Guitar Hero, one of the things that this multisensorial feedback allows is to improve skills quickly. So here you have a lot of information happening at the same time, but you know how information is reacting because of the sound cues you get from missing the different keystrokes or making them in the right moment. So for example, in these games, it happens a lot that you're playing each keystroke and each keystroke is related to a sound in the music, right? So dun 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 dun. And I don't know if I'm syncing this well, because I don't know if we have lag and your GIF, animated GIF, is another part of the loop. But if you try to sync the music with the keystrokes, you get some kind of coherence. But at the same time, what happens that when you get a note in a perfect mode, you might hear a little pa pa pa. So it sounds dun 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 dun, and when you have perfect pa, and if you have a combo in maybe thunder cha cha, and you hear all these things happening at the same time, but you know that something is happening and something is happening well, because you can anticipate the kind of feedback that will tell you that information. So getting those multisensorial feedback working on can have a big impact on engagement, because you cannot disengage for a second or you will lose a sensorial cue, and this creates attention. But let's go to the last one before a Q&A. And in this last one, what do we have? We have productive feedback. And in terms of productive feedback, here, let's start with this one, productivity. So productivity, you might think it's about points and economic panels and all that kind of dashboards. But it can be a little bit more than that. It can be about, for example, understanding that you are in a rush and that you're going fast. And if you see how the information is giving around the character is showing you that it's going faster than normal. And that gives you a sense of productivity, of I'm doing it fast, I'm doing it efficiently. It's not just about watching numbers go up and down like in what we think in our economical mindsets. And of course, here, if I lose some coins, I see how I'm losing some coins, and I see the impact and the pain of losing that kind of efficiency, of losing my resources, and that should be painful. I'm losing my resources. But the way the whole screen gets a little bit blurry when the character goes fast, it uses metaphors from the real world to show you how our brain actually measures productivity in the real world. It's just not about progress bars filling up. Of course, if you click on the image, and you will see the animated GIF progress bar, you will see that there's like a quickness to the bar, and there's a velocity of progression, and that gives you efficiency feedback. But it's not just about understanding if you're doing things fast, it's about knowing if the outcomes you're getting are that great in terms of how much effort and time you are including into the process of doing the activity you're doing. So in this sense, you can try to measure the productivity of the character, because you know how much time it's saving in a way for doing the particular power up. So racing games have a lot of productivity feedback that we could use them to make people feel rushed to do stuff in the real world. So I need to do something fast. I can give this sense of urgency, and this is about urgency, actually. I can create a sense of urgency by giving the right cues, the right elements, the right interface elements that will make people want to feel that rush. But now I want to show you the second one to end up with this presentation. So here I want to replace this one with the next. So productivity, of course, also means understanding how your resources are being managed. And this is a StarCraft, and in StarCraft, you see down there, all those panels down there are moving with each time I spend minerals and gas and crystals and everything, I have a lot of things that are moving in real time. So as the game progresses, I will be spending resources and gaining resources, and those numbers in these kinds of games like, for example, Age of Empires or Command and Conquer, StarCraft, all these games follow the same basic idea, is that if information is moving fast, my attention needs to be sharpened. I need to be sharp to know what's happening in all those things that are happening, not just in the panels below where you see the crystals and the gas, but also what's happening on the screen where a lot of things are moving. There are a lot of moving pieces, and you need to figure out where to place your attention next. And you need to switch your attention really quickly, and that keeps you engaged. So one of the things about efficiency or productivity feedback is the idea that I can create more engagement if I make people think like or feel like they're tracking things in real time and things are moving along. So if I have, for example, Google Analytics on my webpage and I check it out and I say I want to see real time metrics, and no one is there and I don't see anything moving, I will become disengaged really fast. But if I know that everything is moving along and it's moving fast, I will be engaged trying to figure out how these metrics are moving along the time. And that's what happens, for example, with people that work in stock markets. The information is moving so fast that it's hard to lose attention. So the velocity of the refreshness of information, the refresh factor of the information on my screen can create more engagement if that's possible. And if you have, for example, a website that has a low interactivity and people cannot see what's happening in real time, and it's not fun to see what's happening in real time, you can create artificial metrics, artificial designs that will make things move in a faster way, so people want to see, will try to be or will be lured to be more engaged with the system. That's the thing. So productivity feedback requires two things: time, that I can measure time, and I can measure change. Those are the two things I need to be able to measure: change and time. And everything that creates that kind of sense of productivity tends to have a big impact in our world. Think about Waze. Waze is gamified not because of the leaderboards and the avatars and all the things that they took away with time. It's about giving you a sense of efficiency, of giving you, okay, how much will I progress over time? I'm in a traffic jam and I will have a progress bar that says you will be here 20 minutes and the progress bar will be updating second to second, so I can see how much it remains. And that gives me the sense of change over time, which lowers my urgency in that case. Actually, in Waze, I will feel like there's less urgency because I know the rate of movement of the progress bar in terms of the traffic jam I'm in. So this creates great gamified scenarios and things that you can use in your projects to create engagement. So that would be it. As you can see, there are two more padlocks that we didn't explore. I will, of course, unlock the padlock so you can see the inner content, but I don't have time to explain it. So here again, I show you the social element to the exploration. I show you one image, but I will show you the second image just so you can get something new from there. And this is about a game that's called Overcooked. If you haven't played it, play it and try to figure out how the social feedback works in that game, because it's about not about chat bots and chat boxes, sorry, and activity feeds and all that kind of things that people think about when they're talking about social feedback. It's about coordination. It's about helping people coordinate efforts, for example. And this is big in game design, and you could make amazing things if you know how to